back. So my name is Maneet. I am a medical student at St. George's School of Medicine in Grenada. I am going back soon for my second year. So I made a video of a term 1 recap, and I'm just going to basically do the same thing, but this time talk about term 2. If you have any questions, if you'd like advice on anything or just want to talk to a fellow medical student, feel free to reach out. I will link my social media down below, or ask me any questions in the comments. I'm always more than welcome to help in the best way that I can. So again, I have my iPad here with just little pointers so I don't forget anything. We'll start off by doing just a recap of term 2. So again, it has 5 modules. So you have ER, which is endocrine and reproductive. You have your second one, which is DM, so digestion and metabolism, and then your third one, which is NB, all neuro. So this one is divided into NB1, NB2, and NB3. So I will start off by just kind of going over what ER, or endocrine reproduction, was look like. So this one was 3 weeks long, and basically it was the anatomy, the physio, the biochemistry, histology, and pathology of the endocrine and reproductive system. So this module was very short. I believe it was 3 weeks, so it came around really quickly to once term 2 started. And then after this we had DM. DM was the longest module. It was about 5 weeks, and for this it was the anatomy, the physiology, the biochemical pathways, and the biochemical disorders associated with the GI system, and then just so all of the biochemical pathways, glycolysis, beta oxidation, every single pathway, you're learning it in this module. And then after this is NB. So NB is 10 weeks long, however it is divided into 3 different modules. So NB1, this focused a lot on tracts, so just the different neural pathways and tracts. So NB2 was cranial nerves, and then NB3, this was the behavioral psychology aspect of NB. And as a whole, NB basically is the structure and function of the head, the anatomy, physiology, the pathology, and behavioral science. So it's a lot that you are learning. I found NB to be difficult, especially NB1 and NB2. I loved NB3, but NB1 and NB2, it was things that I hadn't seen before, so it was a learning curve. There's going to be a lot of people in the same boat as you, and you got this. So just one day at a time, just one topic at a time. Don't be afraid to reach out for help. There's a lot of resources out there. It's all very, very doable. So once again, like term 1, term 2 has a combination of lecture, small group, anatomy lab, ultrasound, and sim lab. They all just serve as different ways to review the material that you're learning, and are very helpful because again, everyone learns in different ways. So please go to these, take advantage of them, ask facilitators any questions that you may have, discuss topics and hard concepts with your peers, because you learn from everybody, and it's just very good. Sometimes you might think you understand something correctly, but then you're discussing it and you realize that there was a gap in your knowledge, and now the gap is filled, so you can go ace your exam. And once again, at the end of this term, you have a lab exam. So this is basically on what's been covered in lab, 25 multiple choice questions, first order, second order questions. I found the lab exam for term 2 to be easier than the lab exam of term 1. And again, you have an OSPE exam. So this is just the practical exam. You have 5 stations. You have your rubrics they give you in advance. So make sure you, when you're practicing with fellow peers, me and my friends, we would schedule a few hours, maybe a couple times a week leading up to the exam, and we would just go over the rubrics, test each other, do them without looking at our notes, and then just kind of see where we were making our mistakes, so we knew on exam day to not make these mistakes. And do it exactly how you would in an exam. So walk into that exam, pretend to be knocking on the door, pretend to sanitize your hands, introduce yourself, everything in the same way as exam day, so your brain is used to it. So it's it's just a routine at that point. There's nothing that you've never done before. That me and my friends found to be very helpful. And then also at the end of term 2, you have your BSCE exam. So this is a cumulative exam of everything you learned from term 1. It's very daunting because just the idea of something, if it's about 8 months worth of material, is very scary, but it's a very doable exam. My piece of advice for this is just go through and do practice questions, because it's hard to go through all the lectures again, but with doing practice questions, you can see what's high yield and what hopefully they will focus on, and just kind of get a refresh of stuff from the beginning. And also focus on topics that you know were your weaker points, so then you can get those points, because other points are probably already guaranteed if you feel strong in different areas. And also another one is, I would say if you attended any PLGs like in term one, look at those PowerPoints again when reviewing for BSCE, because those tend to cover high yield topics, and it's just like a good refresher of things that you may have forgotten, or just little things that you need to kind of remember again. So that would be my point of advice for that. And then any other study tips or anything that I haven't mentioned yet. So again, similar to term one is what I mentioned in my video. I go into more detail in that video with this stuff, but again, try your best not to fall behind. It's inevitable. You're going to have a bad day. Something's going to pop up. You're not going to be able to finish everything on your to-do list, but be intentional and do your best to not fall behind. And it's okay if you do. Don't sacrifice things that are very important to you and make you happy. So for example, if you are falling behind, but you need 8 hours of sleep to be productive, please go to sleep and just the next day maybe make a few more adjustments and just do whatever you didn't do, or maybe catch up on the weekend. Like, if there are certain things that you need to be productive and be happy, please don't sacrifice those, because productivity is important to get your to-do list done. So if you're not sleeping because you're trying to catch up, well, your next day is not going to be productive either. So that's something that I would always try to remember. Like, it's okay if I didn't get all my things on my to-do list done, but I need to go to sleep so that maybe in the morning I can do that quickly before class, but I still got my 8 hours of sleep, so I'm able to get back on my schedule. And again, every single week I made a schedule with everything that I needed to do on every day. So for instance, if on Monday I knew I had 2 lectures, I had small group, and I had 1 DLA, I would make sure I wrote that in the planner so that going into Monday I knew what was expected of myself, and I wasn't stressed out later because it's 6 p.m. and oh my god, I have 2 DLAs that I need to do. But you knew this from before, so then you could like kind of be like, okay, at 1 p.m. I'm gonna do this DLA, and I'll make sure that by 5 I can still go to the gym, because I have like scheduled my day in such a way. And again, I use tables a lot. I think I use tables more in term 2 than I did in term 1. So I would just have, at the start of every module, I would make 2 Google Docs, one with clinical correlates and one with tables. And so my clinical correlates would be, as I was going through lectures, I would write the clinical correlate. The next column would be the description. So maybe like a biochemical enzyme that's deficient, or the gene that has a mutation, or just like things of why that disease was caused or manifested. And then the last one was any clinical manifestations or symptoms, because a lot of the time on exams, that is what they're going to give you in the vignette, and you have to figure out what gene was the issue or what the mutation was. And so it's just being able to like constantly like see these things. And so just every week at night before I went to sleep, I just quickly look over them. So it was like a repetitive process. And then again, med school boot camp, I swear by this resource. I love this resource. It's so helpful. It does a phenomenal job of breaking down different concepts into very simple, easy, high yield notes. So I would advise, if you're able to get your hands on this subscription, it's just on Google. I can include the link in the description, and basically it's amazing. It's so helpful. It's made difficult concepts so simple for me, and really like it teaches you in such a way that it sticks in your brain, and I recommend it. Can't say enough good things about it. And the videos are short, so that's something that I really like, because the videos were max like 10 minutes, and I know there's some things out there that are like an hour, and sometimes you just don't have that much time to sit there, watch a video on for an hour and not even know if it's going to be helpful. Whereas with med school boot camp, like if a video is not helpful, it's okay, because it was probably 5 minutes, 10 minutes, and a lot of the time you can watch these videos on 2 times the speed. And also I try to be really intentional with doing something fun every day. So whether that be watching Netflix while I eat, FaceTiming a friend, FaceTiming my parents, going to the gym, something that helped me take a break from school, I thought was very helpful for me, because sometimes medical school, it's like this go process, and it's this constant loop of like, okay, I have to do this lecture, I have to go to this class, I have to go to this lab, oh, I have this meeting for this. It's just sometimes you just need to take a break, slow down, take some time for yourself, because ultimately you need to be happy and you need to be sane, able to succeed and excel and complete what's required of medical school, because med school is a marathon. It's a long journey, and so it's very important to take those breaks when our body needs them, because regardless, either you take them because you want to or your body's going to force you to take it. So that's something that I've just really realized, and I hope that it's helpful. Just, I know sometimes it's hard to want to take these breaks because a lot of us medical students, we're so go and we feel like it's like bad to take a break, or that we could be doing something more productive, but breaks are just as productive. Take it from me. If you need one person to tell you something, it's okay to take an hour off in a day, to take 15 minutes off, to like take a break and be human. Because, and then sleep. I need my sleep. I cannot be productive without my sleep. I am not a nice person when I don't get my sleep. So 8 hours. Usually I'd go to sleep around 9 or 10 p.m. and I'd wake up in between 5 and 6. And that's just what worked for me, because I am the most productive in the morning. So I got some things done before class, and then I'd go to class, and then I got more things done, and then my brain just isn't as productive later in the day. And that's when I'd go to the gym, because that's just what worked for me. So please find a schedule that works for you. If you are a morning person but your friends aren't, that's okay. My friends called me a grandma because I sleep so early, but hey, that's what works for you. And everyone's different. Like, that's another thing, is in medical school, everybody's different. One way is not better than the other. And yeah, you just got to find your groove. And like, honestly, when you find a system that works for you, it alleviates so much of the stress, and that's okay if it takes you a little bit longer to figure it out. And lastly, imposter syndrome, it's a very real thing, and I think to this day it comes and goes. I've definitely learned how to deal with it better, but know that you are so capable and you are so intelligent, and you deserve to be in medical school. One bad exam score, one bad day, maybe there's a topic that you just don't understand. That's okay. Like, that's not going to make you any lesser of a physician. Like, there's resources out there. You will get the hang of everything. You will learn everything that you need to learn and everything that you need to know to be a phenomenal physician. But please don't ever forget that you deserve this. You are so worthwhile of becoming a physician. You deserve to be called a doctor. And if there's anything that I can ever do to help, if you have any questions, advice, need any tips, any study tips, please don't ever hesitate to reach out to me. I am here. I have been in your position. I know what it feels like. So please, I'm always here, and thank you. Yeah, have a great day.